And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, wherever you're tuning in from. I'm delighted to be back with you for our live stream here on YouTube. And we're going to be starting in just a few seconds when the clock strikes noon here on the East Coast. Welcome. Good to see you here. I love that you're joining us. We are going to be together for a relatively short period of time here today while we do this live event. And what we have chosen to do today is to deliver to you the number one mindset shift that will have you attracting more prosperity, abundance, money, wealth, whatever it is that you desire. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. What I suggest that you do is make sure that you have a pen and paper, because I'm going to give you some suggestions. I'll give you a deep understanding of how you can attract more wealth into your life, but you will likely forget it unless you write it down. Now, what I have found to be the most valuable way to actually increase or improve your results is by applying what you're learning. And so that's what I'm going to suggest here today. So I want to welcome you. We have Kayla with us here as well. She is part of the Dynamic Destinies team. She's here to support you. So what we're going to do in this 30-minute period of time is I'm going to talk to you about what that number one mindset shift is so that you're experiencing more wealth and abundance and money in your life. And then I'm going to address some questions. So we've had a number of questions that have been submitted in advance. And so I'm going to be covering off those questions. And whether you have a question or not, you're still going to benefit from the answers to these very, very valuable questions. They are questions that, probably a lot of people have. They're questions that I would have had many, many years ago. But what's most important, of course, is the answer and how to apply it into your life. And good to see you here. Yes, I haven't seen you for a while, Kanik. I'm happy to have you back. Okay, so what is that number one mindset shift that can have you manifesting money faster? Well, the number one way for you to manifest money with greater ease is to align with it, knowing that it is already yours. Now, that may sound strange, and it may sound even utterly ridiculous to you. I know when I first heard that, I thought, oh, yeah, that's easy for people that have the money in their life. But what if you don't? What if you're looking at your bank account and you can see that it's, upside down, negative, or you've got all these statements, or you have no idea where the money's going to come from? And the truth is, it doesn't matter what's currently there in your life right now. You see, you're an expression of energy. You attract based on the emotions, the feelings that you are having predominantly throughout the day. So when somebody consistently thinks of lack, feels frustrated, feels worrisome, or is fearful, they will attract results that are reflective of what those emotions are. So the challenge is, a lot of people have heard, and you've likely heard it yourself, that if you just work harder, if you just save more money, if you just push or hustle or try another strategy. But here's what I've discovered after decades of studying this material, writing about these materials, teaching these materials, mentoring people on these materials, is that money never responds to force. Never. It responds to positive energy of acceptance, where you actually accept what it is that you desire as already being in your life. Now, that may sound like a game, and in fact, it is a game. It's a game that we get to play. You, me, we get to play. You see, I was raised in an environment that was, dysfunctional. I think it could be identified as that. I'm not judging it. It's just the way that it was. But I was not raised in a prosperity environment. I wasn't raised in abundance. I wasn't raised with a silver spoon in my mouth, as sometimes people have defined that kind of upbringing. And it doesn't matter how you were raised, frankly. What matters is, what are you doing now? How are you directing your energy now? What are you choosing to give your thoughts to? What are you choosing to feel right now? That's what's most important. So how this works is for you to use something that you all have, and that's called your imagination. So, what I would like for you to do now is this. I want you to think about what you would love to have. How would you love to be living your life? Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to do that right now to really think about what it is that you would love? I was chatting with a client of mine this morning and I asked the question. I said, if you're living the life, your life, the way you would love to be living it, tell me what that looks like. Tell me what that feels like. Give me some scenarios of what that would look like. And you could see by asking that question that she started to look up and began to imagine. And I said, look, I don't want you to tell me how that's going to happen because you won't know how it's going to happen. And you don't have to know how it's going to happen. But it is required for you to determine what does it look like or feel like. And I'm talking about look like, feel like, outcome based. So if you would love to be a multimillionaire, as an example, and you would love to be doing only work that you absolutely love doing, and knowing that you have the freedom to do what you want when you want, are you willing to get into an imaginary scenario where you can imagine what that feels like? Yes, of course. Why? Because you have the freedom to direct your attention and it costs you nothing. It doesn't cost anything to activate your imagination. But truth be told, it is your most valuable resource. Your most valuable resource is already within you. It's already there. You have that ability to go to a place in your imagination, to go to this place in your mind and imagine what that would feel like. And you imagine what that would look like. Do you get that? Right? Now, what happens is people are willing to do that. Sure, let's play the game, Peggy. I'd love to play the game. But they do it only for a very, very short period of time. They don't do it consistently. And even those that are dedicated or have devoted themselves to personal growth, and they're reading the books and they're listening to the audios and they're watching the podcasts or they're on YouTube and they're doing surfing and they're hearing all these great materials. It's just like, going past it, but not applying it, right? Like I think about how I have this glass of water beside me. And this glass of water is a valuable resource for me to fuel my body, to fuel my physical body. It's here. It's available. But if I don't drink it, it won't help me, right? There's action involved, and that action involves me grabbing the glass, putting it up to my mouth and drinking the water. Now, I don't do that once. I have to do that consistently. Why? Why is it necessary that I consistently must drink that water and feed my physical body with nutritious foods? Because it's the fuel, right? It's what keeps us going. Well, the fuel that keeps your dream going, the fuel that keeps your wealth going is your imagination, actively used throughout the day, multiple times a day, where you're living as if you already have the wealth. You're acting as if you already have the wealth. Now, the acting may be something that you're imagining that you're doing. Acting might be just walking around, really feeling that energetic connection to it. One of the things that I wrote about in my book, The Moment of Alignment, is something called anchors. It's where you can anchor in a feeling through repetitive processes. Here's one of the repetitive processes that I wrote about in The Moment of Alignment. The repetitive process is called step anchors. Now, how many steps do you do a day? I remember being in one of my classes and I asked the group, like, how many of you get on this program of doing 10,000 steps a day, right? A lot of people do that. They may have an iWatch or some other kind of device that's calculating, like my iPhone counts the number of steps, but of course I have to have my iPhone with me. Well, what if every time you took a step, you anchored in the thought and the feeling, I am wealthy, I am rich, I am, whatever that happens to be. It could be one statement that you repeat over and over again. And the words that you say, you could say, I'm a happy and healthy multimillionaire, happy and healthy multimillionaire. I'm a happy and healthy multimillionaire. I like that statement. And the reason why I like that statement is because not only are you rich, but you're happy and you're healthy at the same time. Plus, happy is an emotion. And when you're feeling happy, you're feeling joy. And when you're feeling joy, you're attracting more experiences in your life that feel joyful. And so I would suggest as a strategy for you to implement to imagine that every step you take, you're anchoring in that you're wealthy. And maybe it is using that statement, my favorite statement, I'm a happy and healthy multimillionaire. Or another one of my favorite statements is, I always have an abundance of money to do whatever I want to do. I always have an abundance of money to do whatever I want to do. And you could step while you're stepping almost like a march or with a rhythmic, approach. Just imagine, I always have an abundance of money to do whatever I want to do. I always have an abundance of money to do whatever I want to do. Now, when you mix that statement, I always have an abundance of money to do whatever I want to do, with the emotion of imagining you always have an abundance of money to do whatever you want to do, you feel it, right? And when you do that consistently, then you're attracting it. Now, you won't see it right away. And this is the part that I think a lot of people struggle with, is this gestation period. How long is it going to take? However long it's going to take. But your responsibility is to feel aligned every day consistently, and it will absolutely show up for you. Why? Because you're energetic. You have the ability, you have the power to attract anything that you want in your life. The universe responds to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, bar none. And when I say the universe responds to you, it's responding to your energy, right? It's like magnetic. You're magnetic. You're going to draw back to you like scenarios, like situations, like solutions when you are aligned with what it is that you want. But most people aren't aligned with what they want. Most people reside in energy of lack, of frustration, of worry, of fear, and that will never, ever, ever serve you, ever serve you. It's destructive energy. Destructive energy feels bad. Creative energy feels good. All right. It's simple. Yes. The hard part is applying it. Okay. We've got a couple of questions here from Kanik. It says, I have a question. How can I reprogram fastly my mind for money after trying for more than 8 years? I still struggle. I know I'm wrong. Please help in that. All right. And here's the thing. And I've seen these kinds of questions. I want to thank you for the question from many, many people that they've tried for years and years and years and years. And here's why some people challenge, and it may not be your case. It may be your case, not judgment, observation. And here's what it is. And I know I did that myself for a number of years. What happens is people do the work and they move forward. In other words, they're imagining, and maybe they're doing step anchors or whatever. But then after they've done that, they start thinking about, how am I going to pay that? Or don't have the funds for that. Or they start to feel fearful of that. It's like this. And I think this is the best way of explaining it. If you plant a garden and you plant the seeds and you know they're going to grow, like let's say you take a tomato plant and you plant the seed of the tomato plant. You don't go out the next day or an hour later and dig it up. This is what negative thinking and negative emotions do. You plant the seed, you give it some energy, and then you put poison on it, or you dig it up and throw it away. How do you dig it up? How do you throw it away? By going to the opposite kind of energy. So what's the opposite? Lack, right? Worry, fear, anything like that. Any emotion that doesn't feel good, destructive. It is poisonous. Now, it's not that you're going to have it, but you got to notice it like that. You got to notice it and get out of that energy right away. So you've got to get really good at switching away from the negative energy and move over to the positive energy. As soon as you notice it, you start to think, how am I going to pay that bill? Just remind yourself that bill is already paid. It's paid in divine order. I feel grateful that the bill is already paid. I feel genuine. It needs to be genuine. Again, you're using your imagination, genuine gratitude, knowing that it is already taken care of. So you want to get really, really good at that. The reason why people don't manifest is because they're not consistently aligned. It's not that you're going to be aligned with your outcomes 100% of the time, but most of the time you must be aligned. Now, what I'm hearing in the question is the desire is there. So if the desire is there, you have the ability to follow through. How can you do it faster? Be more consistently aligned throughout the day, feeling as if you already have that which you desire. That's your answer. How do I bring the state of mind when I'm feeling in meditation and everywhere? And actually, when I'm paying, I feel sacred. Choose it. Nobody is in control of our mind except us. There was a quote by Aldous Huxley that goes like this: there's only one corner of the universe that you have any control over. That's your mind. And that's the truth. Now, let's go to the other questions that have been asked as well, because we've had a number of them come in. There's one from a lady named Samantha T. She says, I understand the idea of believing that it's already done, but how do I actually feel abundant when my bank account doesn't show it yet? Well, great question, Samantha T. And I've already answered it, but let me say it again. Feeling abundant isn't about what's in your bank account. Feeling abundant is what you're choosing to give your attention to. It's where you're directing your energy. It's what you're choosing to become aware of. Now, the fast way, or the fastest way to feel abundant and build the belief, because belief is like a muscle that you're going to be working on regularly, is by feeling grateful. Grateful for what you have in your life, grateful for what you desire, feeling grateful as if it's already here. All right. So be in a state of gratitude. Isn't it wonderful that you already have that which you desire? Gratitude is definitely a very valuable and a very positive and a very supportive energy to be involved in. So always switch over to gratitude. Okay, David M says, how do I know when I'm truly in alignment with money and not just fooling myself? This is a great question. I love that you've asked this question, David. And the answer is this: how do you feel? Like, if you're fooling yourself, you're not genuinely feeling. So how do I know whether I'm truly in alignment with money? Do you feel calm? Do you feel that freedom that you would be feeling were you to have it? Again, you're using your imagination. There's one answer to activating this within your consciousness, within your energy, and that is imagine it's here now. So, are you in alignment by feeling calm? Are you feeling as if you are that person that has the funds that you desire? If you did, how would you be feeling right now? There's a great question to ask yourself and to answer as well. Okay, Alyssa says, what's one thing you personally stopped doing that helped you manifest money faster? Oh, that's a great question. And the answer to that one is I stopped worrying how it would come. You know, I often have said this: the greatest and the most valuable lesson that I've ever learned from Bob Proctor is this: you don't have to know how you're going to accomplish the desires that you want. You don't have to know how. It's not your job to figure out the how. Your job is alignment. That's your job. You must feel aligned, meaning you feel as if it's here now. Now, if you look at the subtitle for this book, The Moment of Alignment, the precise moment where intention becomes reality is when you have accepted your outcome as accomplished, as done. That's the moment that you're aligned. The moment of alignment is when you accept it. It is done. It is wonderful that it is done. You know, when I think about, like, I love studying success. I love teaching success. I love helping people experience more success. And when I'm studying successful people, for the sake of either sharing their story or going through what it is that they're doing, there's something common with all of them. And the common aspect of success is that the person that accomplished it believed it was already theirs. And they never felt like they were being greedy or taking away from anyone else. They felt that it was theirs by right. I think about another book that I wrote called The Demand Principle. And demand, as a word that's defined in the dictionary, means a peremptory request made as if by right. It's as if you expect it, right? Of course. And it's not arrogance and it's not egotistical. It's an acceptance of what is yours by divine right. Every single person on this planet has the divine right to wealth, to riches. Doesn't matter where you are in the world, whether you're living in India, whether you're living in China, whether you're living in El Salvador, whether you're living in Canada, United States, Australia, Europe, Great Britain, doesn't matter where you are in the world. Every single one of us humans, we all have the same right, the right to be rich. You have the right to abundance. You have the right to be rich. You simply have to accept it. Now, what gets in the way is the programming that's already within your conscious mind, your subconscious mind. But by studying, which is what you're doing right here, regularly, which is what we do in Club Aligned, and I suggest you check out clubaligned.com and join Club Aligned, and by activating, these energetic uh, frequencies of attraction that you all have within you, or with regularity, you will create the success in your life. And that is the reason why there are only a select few on the planet that have actually done this. Everybody has the opportunity to do it. Everybody has the right to do it, but not everybody is willing to do it because that's not the way they've been programmed. But you can program yourself accordingly. You can program yourself for success. All right. And that requires understanding and application. And how do you get the understanding? Through study. That's why I created Club Aligned, so that you study regularly with me. In fact, right now we're studying my 27th book called Make a Million Look Small. And yesterday and today we're talking about one of the chapters that's in that book called The Effortless Thought. And the effortless thought is where you're not forcing, you're allowing, you're in a state of allowing. And if we have time, I might go there and read a little bit more about that in a minute. I see that Marusa has a question here as well. I'm going to get to yours in a moment. I just have another one that was submitted in advance by Michael. And it's an important question as well. Michael says, sometimes I feel guilty for wanting more money when I already have enough. How do I push past that guilt? That's a good question as well. Guilt is based on old conditioning. Guilt is based on something that you were taught, or you learned when you were younger. That is part of your belief system. But abundance is multiplied through expansion, through circulation. The more you have, the more you give, the more you circulate, the more it uplifts. It's good. It's good for the world. So all that's required here is to change your belief about it, that there's an abundance in the world, that we all have access to it, that you having abundance is a good thing, it's a positive thing. And you build that belief through repetition. That's the way that you build a belief, is through repetition of this idea over and over again until it becomes a part of who you are and what you believe to be true. Okay, Vanessa says, I've been affirming abundance for years, but nothing's changing. Kind of, similar to what Kinnear was asking earlier, what am I missing? And here's what you may or may not be missing, but it's always the same answer. Are you on the frequency of living from abundance? Not that you're saying the affirmations or you're reading the books, but do you feel it? The genuine emotion of feeling abundant. It's the expression of the emotion, of that energy that draws to you what it is. So it might be just a simple shift. It might be that you simply need to do this better and more frequently. Okay. You're already there. It could be that you're just, could be right around the corner for you, but keep it up and ensure that when you're doing the expression of whether you're doing affirmations or visualization, that you're genuinely feeling it in your heart. Okay. Next question is from Ravi. Can I manifest money for specific purposes like paying off debt or buying a dream home, or does that limit the flow? Yeah, absolutely. You can definitely manifest something that's specific. In fact, that creates a greater feeling because you can imagine having it, right? Now, you can still imagine just having money. I shouldn't say just having money. You can still imagine having money or investments or millions of dollars in the bank or whatever, because ultimately what people want when they want to have more money is not that they want the paper or the numbers in their account. They want the feeling, right? They want to feel free. They want to feel that joy. They want to feel relaxed. They want to feel the calm. And so it's the energy of expansion that always attracts more. All right. So feel it, and specifically feel it. I've done that many times where I have manifested certain things, certain outcomes, visualizing that it was already in my life, and then it manifested, or the way manifested for me. Okay, that Marusa is asking, long time, send my love to you. Hey, good to see you here. My question is, in moments of extreme or emergent situations, which time frameworks are very strict? How can you maintain our certainty and peace? Yeah, like it's like when you have a due date or something that's required, right? It's the same. You still imagine it is paid, you relax. Like even when I remember I started working with a woman years ago, and this woman had a business that went basically upside down financially. And her business had gone through a really, really challenging time. And even though prior to this time, they had been generating a lot of revenue in the business, they found themselves, no longer. They got a contract. It was a big, significant contract that was canceled. And all of a sudden, they didn't have any money. And not only did they not have money, but creditors are banging on their door. There was requirements, I mean, personally, professionally, or whatever. And so this person came to me and they were in what might be called a freaked out state, like, like they wanted to scream, like, this is all going on. I don't know what to do with it. It's just like they wanted to pull the covers over their head and just go back and crawl into bed and, pretend it's all gone away. Now, that doesn't solve anything, right? And the situation was uncomfortable for her, but it didn't have to be. And I said to her, same or some of the similar things we're talking about here. You're in control of how you feel. You can choose to feel relaxed about this. You can choose to address this head on, not hide from it, just address it. It's a temporary situation. Do not allow this to define you. Do not allow this to take you under. It's like when, there were really challenging times in the past, in our history of the world, where people were jumping out of buildings because they'd lost their money. Well, and then people would say things like they had lost everything. No, you didn't. You lost some money. You lost, paper. Yeah, it's valuable. And yes, it means something to you, but you're still creative. You still have your mind. Recently I watched a documentary. I love watching documentaries. Absolutely love them, especially if they're about successful people. This was a 5-hour documentary and I loved it. Freaking loved it. It was about Billy Joel and it's called And So It Goes and it's on HBO. And so I watched this documentary and I love Billy Joel's music. Love it. I was a big fan. I'd gone to see him in concert like back in the 1980s. Maybe you don't even know who Billy Joel is, but anyways, one of the most successful artists of all time. And he had released a number of albums and they were doing okay. They were doing all right. He was really working hard and doing lots of things that he felt were the right things. And it wasn't until his album called The Stranger that his career really took off, like catapult kind of success. And he brought in a business manager and it happened to be his brother-in-law. And his brother-in-law was managing all the money. And Billy Joel was doing what he did best. He was writing music. He was, creating his music. He was on the road performing. He was going into studios. He was producing more music. And he was doing what he did best. And he had generated a significant amount of money, millions and millions of dollars. And he discovered at one point in his career that he had been, his business partner had taken him for millions and millions of dollars. In fact, I read that he had sued him for $90 million. It's a lot of money. He was wiped out financially. And what he did was, obviously not a desirable scenario. It happened, right? It happened. Just like this client, she'd gone through good intentions, doing her work, doing her business, and then found herself upside down significantly, like 7 figures owing, to creditors. And so, Billy Joel rolled up his sleeve and he just got out there and started doing more, writing more music, producing more songs, going on tour, and ended up generating about $150 million after that event occurred. He did not allow it to define him. He did not allow it to, pull him under. He rose above and got out there and did the work. And that's what this client did. I said, anytime you find yourself feeling overwhelmed or thinking about the debt, you got to switch out of that energy fast, like snap, snap, snap. What would you love? 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 You got to go to that question. You got to answer that question. You got to embrace the scenario of what you would love, which is obviously not that, and feel it. Breathe into it. Relax into the knowing. You're going to be far more creative. You're going to be more productive, and you're going to find the solution. And that's what she did. She turned her life around. She was a private mentoring client of mine, turned her life around, and now she runs a business that has generated 7 figures in revenue. Now, was it easy? No. Was it enjoyable? Probably not, but it can be. It can be. Why? Because we have control. You have control. I want you to take control back. Now, what I suggest, just as we're going to wrap up this session, is I suggest that you definitely study success, study my books, get a copy of The Moment of Alignment, join our Club Aligned program. Go to clubaligned.com. The reason why I suggest it is because I have been studying this for almost a half a century, but more importantly, I've applied it and turned my own life around. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. And I want to help you. I mean, the books are not that expensive. They're relatively inexpensive. You can invest a considerable amount of time online on YouTube, studying my videos, watching the videos, implementing what it is that you desire, and you are going to turn your life around. Get serious about this. This is your life. This is what I'm talking about here. Take it seriously, apply what I'm teaching, and you're going to find you're going to create phenomenal results. Kayla just told me that the link for Club Aligned is in the description, so you'll be able to find it there. But do something. Don't walk away from this event without doing something, making a decision right here, right now, that you're going to do something positive to turn your situation around to attract what is your birthright, which is abundance. All right. So I want to thank you for being here, whether you've watched live or whether you're watching the replay. But more importantly, put it into action and let us know how it goes, because it will work. It works for everyone and it works every time. So thank you for allowing me to serve. I appreciate you very much. Share this with someone that you love as well. And I want to thank Kayla for always being here, for supporting you and for supporting me as well. Okay, I'll see you again next Wednesday. Come on back. We're going to do this again next Wednesday, YouTube Live, 12 noon Eastern. All right, I'll see you then.